Okay, so this is a special video for me. I want to talk about my protagonist from my novel, Rage Monster, 2 volumes, which you can buy on Amazon, by the way. The link will be down below if you want to support your boy. But I want to talk about the protagonist of this thick-ass book. His name is Hux Moloch. And the reason why this book is called Rage Monster is because he is a young man who has absolutely no hope, who has absolutely no prospects, or so he considers. So he decides to finally end his life in a drunken stupor, right, and just be done with it. But circumstances happen. And because, certain people mess with him, right? You'll have to read the book to find out how that happens. But certain people mess with him. And because of this, his rage, which is, probably the only, emotion he has left, his rage, his anger, they take over. And he becomes, the beast. And I will call this video, Hux Moloch, the beast within. He becomes the beast, the true monster, right? So, it turns out that the city in which this fictional story happens, it is run by a criminal underbelly. And, these people are absolutely the worst, They are, monsters in their own right. But, unfortunately for them, because of, the forces of the universe, somehow they get intertwined with Hux Moloch, right? And they want to, kill him basically because he stumbles upon certain things, because he messes with certain operations, whatever. You'll have to read it. And unfortunately for them, they assume that he is, just another harmless citizen. He's a young man in his early 20s, and he doesn't look that impressive at all, right? They find whatever information they have, about him. They assume that he is not impressive, that he is not a threat. And slowly but surely, they all find out that this young man, this Hux Moloch, is, a force to be reckoned with. He is a natural disaster. Right, he, with each chapter, he becomes something devastating. Right, because this is what these people in power, this is what they don't understand, and this is why they will not succeed. They do not understand that this young man, Hux Moloch, he has relinquished everything that, a normal person would, cherish and fight for, He basically loves nothing. He basically only has, hate and anger and pessimism, right? And he is constantly trying to kill himself, right? Because he thinks everything is a joke. People suck. People are the worst. Life is a charade, a farce. It's not worth living. This is the mindset, the philosophy that he has arrived at because of his experiences, right? So, the powerful, they do not realize who and what he really is, until the very end, right? But it is far too late for them to do anything because they have never faced such an opponent before, right? This is somebody who who doesn't want any of the materialistic pleasures, right? He is somebody that is intoxicated by, absolute mayhem and carnage. And he does horrible things, Hux Moloch. He does terrible, terrible things, randomly for the fun of it, because he enjoys the chaos, right? So they are facing somebody that they do not understand. They are facing somebody that is beyond their league. They're not facing your normal human being that just wants to live, a comfortable life and, have some happiness. This is a true monster. This is a true beast in human form, right? He has abandoned, discarded his humanity, right? And he becomes, a maniac, basically, right? An absolute, totally, irredeemable, hopeless, disaster of a person, a true criminal, right? He only loves seeing people hurt, seeing people in agony. He loves that shit, right? Which, because of this, he is something else entirely, a different kind of animal that nobody knows how to tackle, because he has abandoned everything. I mean, he doesn't care if he lives or dies, bro. Because he has abandoned his home, his job, his family, everything. He has lost faith in everything. He doesn't give a shit about himself at all. He drinks, to numb himself from the painful truth that he has wasted his life on nothing, right? So he's always intoxicated, always on, some sort of psychedelic drug, And because of this, as you read, you also, as the reader, you also come to the conclusion that he is, a unique phenomenon in nature, And I keep saying this in my videos, not as a boast, not as a brag, but if I have accomplished anything with this book as a writer, if I have excelled at something, it is this. I have crafted a unique protagonist that should and will capture your attention, that will make you love him and hate him, that will make you cheer for him, while at the same time hope that he gets his just desserts as well, right? So if there is anything that I have done worthwhile, I think that I have written a iconic protagonist that is different from your, average mainstream books of fiction, right? So because he is a true monster in human form, right? He has abandoned everything. This is why, the evil, corrupt people that are in power, because they do not understand what it means for a person to discard everything. They cannot comprehend such a thing. And because of this, they have no real tactic to deal with this phenomenon. They do not have the knowledge. They do not have the expertise. They have no idea with what caliber of beast they are messing with, right? And these people are absolute, cold-blooded killers, but they still are human enough to understand that, most people, they want this, they want that, they'll do anything for money, blah, blah, blah. But no. Now they are facing Hux Moloch, who doesn't really want anything other than to crush this world, for a bit of amusement, for a bit of entertainment, right? And of course, it makes it even worse for the fact that he doesn't really like human beings at all, right? So he is the whole package. If you think about, nihilism and, you know, nihilism and, the insanity, the madness, right? I mean, he accepts madness as, like a badge of honor, basically, right? He laughs at the horrible, disgusting things that he does to other people who haven't wronged him at all. He just does things that are inexcusable, and he laughs at it, and he doesn't apologize for it, and he does these things for a bit of fun, to be titillated, right? For a thrill, maybe, just because it's funny, right? So the people that are in charge are not equipped to deal with this level of, tomfoolery, insanity, craziness, They're not equipped. But you're going to have to read the book to find out all of the juicy details, right? I mean, look at this thing. It's a fig boy. A fig boy, right? But that's about it, right? I started writing this when I was 23 years old. It took me 7 years. I was a young man. And as I was writing this book, I was dealing with a lot of anger myself, a lot of suppressed anger. And while I was writing this book, I realized, I just finally had to realize and accept the depths of my own anger, right? And writing this book saved me from a terrible fate, because I was almost hopeless. I was just this ball of, suppressed anger and resentment, and I just only needed somebody to push my buttons to ruin my whole life, But thankfully, I found literature, I found books, I found, that writing, I found out that writing is therapy. And it certainly saved me from a lot of, tragedies. Hux Moloch. Of course, I based this protagonist on myself, of course. Listen, any writer that tells you that he or she doesn't have any, inserts or personal views regarding a certain character, protagonist, whatever. If a writer tells you that there is no self-insert whatsoever, no views whatsoever, no ideologies, that writer, that person is a liar, they are a fiend, and they cannot be trusted, right? It is a narcissistic type of thing, but most writers write about themselves through these fictional characters and plot lines. It is what it is, right? You cannot be, you cannot escape it. It is what it is, right? If you are not close to what you're writing, it will not be true. It will not be raw. It will not be passionate, right? But it is what it is, right? That's just my view. So Hux Moloch, the beast within, the true rage monster. I mean, what else is there to say, right? What else is there to say? I have truly written, a tale of a demon. I have described the journey taken by a young man, to become a demon, a demon. I have described, you know, what can happen when somebody has the right mindset, when somebody has the right, I don't know, the right mechanisms, the right inclinations, tendencies, the right type of thinking, the kind of essence, the rare essence that could, exaggerate and escalate to absolute insanity if the right conditions and the right appropriate circumstances are presented, right? So Hux Moloch, he is that anomaly, that glitch. He is that rare element. He has been fashioned by the randomness of the universe to be that guy who, unlike anybody else, decides for himself to embrace madness and chaos, not as a simple agent, right? Not as a simple soldier, but as, the center, as the source, as the, as the Godhead, if you want to call it that. He is the whirlwind. He is the eye in the storm. He is the storm, as cliche as that sounds, right? What happens when a person discards everything, abandons everything, and chooses, all of the nightmarish, horrible things that we can't even imagine? What happens to such a person? What happens when such a person is so numb, so disappointed, so unimpressed by life, by people? What happens to such a person if he is so disappointed that he decides to, ravage the entire globe and infect it with his brand of, what you might call it, entropy, whimsical evil, basically. This is just my view as the author, but my God, this guy is fucking evil, bro. He's fucking evil, but he isn't the type of evil that commits vile acts for, a reward like wealth or, bitches or a reputation or whatever, right? He is the type of, malign, cancerous entity that commits atrocity, appalling, atrocious things because he was born for it, because to his ears, it is a melody, a divine melody, it is music to his ears. Do you understand what we're dealing with here? This is a person that has a calling to do unspeakable evil with a grin on his face just because, right? Just because he was created randomly. And because of certain things that happen in his life, but those are secondary, right? Those are secondary. What else is there to say? I'm going to have to make this statement. This young man is not crazy at all, while being crazy, right? What I mean by that is that he hasn't lost his marbles. He hasn't gone cuckoo in the way that we imagine. Listen, I thought that I knew crazy people. I thought that I knew how they operated until I actually met somebody that was absolutely bonkers. And I had a brief conversation with that fucking lunatic, and then I finally understood what real crazy is. I mean, this guy, he was so out of it, so, daydreaming. He looked like the guy, from his mannerisms, from the way he talked, from his thinking. I gauged that this was the kind of crazy that would stab you in the neck, and a second later he would ask you why you're bleeding, right? Like, this is fucking, I mean, no conscience, no idea of what is, right or wrong, appropriate or not, no awareness, like an animal, like a child, right? But this protagonist, Hux Moloch, isn't that type of crazy. He is in charge of his mind. He doesn't make petty excuses, I just went bananas, right? He is absolutely alert, conscious. And he says, listen, he declares time and time again, so there are no speculations whatsoever. He declares, I like doing bad things. I like doing bad things, and that's just it. This is his declaration, and he makes no apology. I like doing bad things, right? Because it's funny, right? He isn't out of it, right? This is what I'm trying to get at here. This is a person who is fully there. He is not delirious. He is not zonked out, right? Like that crazy person that I met and talked to. No, this is a person that is in full control of all of his senses, of all of his mental abilities, right? And he makes the conscientious decision to become an absolute monster, an absolute beast, right? And this is a spoiler. The reason for all of this is, of course, the rage that has been suppressed for the entirety of his life, right? But you're going to have to read the book to find out all of the juicy details, right? But that's about it. I've finished this book like maybe 2 years ago. I don't really remember. And I thought that, I would be done with it and move on to other projects and focus on that completely. I've moved on to other projects, right? I'm writing another big novel now, but the difference is that Hux Moloch still haunts my dreams, still haunts my waking hours. You see, the best books, the best characters will haunt you forever, right? Will haunt you forever. Because a person decided to unleash the beast within. This is who Hux Moloch is, and I hope that if you read this 2-volume novel, I hope that you can appreciate what I've done here. I hope that you can appreciate, the complexity as well as the absolute fucked up shit that happens in this book. And I hope that, Hux Moloch may be a character that will haunt you as well as he haunts me, right? I've created a demon. I've summoned a demon, and he's still around here, still around here trying to seduce me, right? And this is another thing, and I'll finish with this. This is from the back of the 2nd volume, right? And I think this truly describes who Hux Moloch really is by the end of this novel, right? Most blame the supernatural for their sins. But if there is an account to be registered in the annals of history, then Hux Moloch should be remembered as the fiend who stood on the devil's shoulder and whispered in his ear, not the other way around. Might is right, hate and savagery, a fine nectar, brutal and cruel, germinating in all of us, like monstrous children, poisoned by a need to flirt with disaster. Sweet dreams are made of this. So listen, this is what I'm trying to get at. This is who this character is. Most evildoers, they blame their acts on something or another. They always have an excuse, whatever that silly excuse may be. Right? Something like this is not excusable. Evil is not excusable. But this is who Hux Moloch is, and this is what makes him special or different, right? Most blame the supernatural for their sins, or whatever. But if there is an account to be registered in the annals of history, then Hux Moloch should be remembered as the fiend who stood on the devil's shoulder and whispered in his ear. See, this is another cliche, but back in the day, people, if they did bad things, they would say, well, the devil whispered in my ear. I'm possessed by something. Ooh, right? No, he says that he is the true evil, right? And if there is, by some chance, a devil, then he will be the one that will stand on the devil's shoulder and whisper evil things in the devil's ears, not the other way around. Okay, that's tough. That goes hard. Do you understand what we're talking about here? I'm getting excited, okay? I'm getting excited. Holy shit. Right? So I think this is the hallmark that makes Hux Moloch truly, absolutely evil. Right? He is giddy about this shit. Like, it becomes, a festival, a spectacle, a concert to him. Right? Most people blame their shitty behavior on whatever. He is the one who will stand in front of you and tell you, I like doing bad things and I'm not sorry for it. And then he's gonna do something to you. And then he's gonna laugh while you cry, right? And the funny part is that he does this because random, whatever, a whim, who cares? Who cares? Nothing matters. This is who Hux Moloch is. And he will always have a demented, disturbed, grotesque grin on his face. This is the monster within. This is who Hux Moloch is. Right? He doesn't need a devil or an excuse to explain away why he is the way that he is. No, he's gonna tell you himself. I am this fucked up because I choose to be, and I fucking love it. How about that? Right? Jesus Christ. I'm getting hyped again, goddamn. Okay, so that's about it. Thanks for watching. If you buy and read the book, I hope you enjoyed it, because it took 7 years of my life. And Hux Moloch, this character, will be a demon that I will have to carry on my shoulders and in my heart for the rest of my life. I know this. I know this. I've summoned something that isn't entirely fictional, if you get what I'm trying to say. Okay. So that's about it. Thanks for watching. See ya.